Welcome back, my dear students, for the online classes. Today we will be discussing data structures part 11. Rather, I would like to say the concluding part of queues. In the previous class we had a discussion on queues. Today we will be discussing few more details of queues, and then we will be starting the topic called linked list. So today's class is queues, and this is data structures part number 11, and here we have the concluding part of queues. Let us check out or recall the topics what we have studied in our previous class. Before that, let us see the weightage. So weightage of this chapter is 14 marks. And the other details you already know. I have been telling you this many a times. Let us recall the topics what we have studied in our previous classes. In our previous classes, we have discussed the different operations on queues, applications of queues, algorithm for NQ operation and algorithm for DQ operation. Then representation of queues using linked list and arrays. The operation of queues include queue, NQ, DQ, isEmpty, size. Queue creates a new empty list, empty queue. NQ is a function or it's an operation which is used to insert an element. DQ, it is used to delete or remove an element. And also we had a discussion on the algorithm for performing NQ operation and DQ operation. We also studied how we can create a queue using array and using linked list in the computer memory. So today we will be discussing the practical program of queues. So for your practicals from part A, that is C++ program, the experiment number 15 is performing NQ and DQ operation. Let us see the program and let us check the header files. We are including iostream, iomanip and stdlib.h. iostream for cout and cin. iomanip we are using for setw and endl functions. stdlib we are using for exit. Maximum size of the queue we have given 3. Hash define queue size 3. So the queue size is defined as 3. Let us check the class definition of queue. Private queue size is 3. That means we are creating a queue for 3 elements. Then we are taking front and rear. As we know that the element will be added to the rear end of the queue and the element will be deleted from the front end of the queue. To make a note of how many elements present in the queue, we are using count. In the public section, if you see, we have a constructor queue, then we have a NQ function, DQ function and getSize function. Queue will initialize the front and rear, NQ will add a new item to the queue, DQ will remove the element from the queue and getSize will give us the total number of elements that are present in the queue. Let us check each one of the member functions in detail. The first constructor, queue. So you can see there is a queue defined with the scope resolution operator, and if a member function has same name as the class name, it is called constructor. So it is used to initialize the object, and it will be automatically executed when the object is created. So this, what does this make? This constructor do? This constructor will initialize front rear with -1 and count is equal to 0. That means whenever we create an object for Q for the first time, the front rear becomes -1 and count becomes 0. Let us see the next function, that is NQ. So in NQ, first we will be checking the overflow condition. Overflow condition or full condition, because we are creating a queue with the maximum size of 3. If the rear is equal to queue size -1, then the queue is full. If front is equal to -1, that means, so before inserting an element, we need to initialize front and rear as 0. Otherwise, rear plus plus, we are incrementing the rear, and x is the element which will be inserted. So you can see x will be inserted, and that will be inserted to the rear end of the queue. And after inserting the element, count is incremented by 1, and we are printing a message saying x, that is the element, is successfully inserted. So let me repeat the NQ function again. So here we have void Q and NQ. Q is the class name, is the scope resolution operator, and NQ is the function name, and X is the data element. Now first we are checking the overflow condition. So if rear is equal to queue size -1, that means the queue is full. Then we are checking whether queue is empty. If queue is empty, we will make the rear to point to the 0, because the first element is always stored at 0. We are implementing queue using arrays. Therefore, we are checking if front is equal to -1, we are making front and rear as 0. Otherwise, we are incrementing the rear, and x, there is the element which will be added at the rear end, and then we are incrementing the count. That means one element we have added. So next comes, the next function is TQ. So first we are checking, as we know that when we are inserting an element, if rear is max size -1, which means if rear has reached maximum size -1, that is, if we are creating a queue for n elements, n-1 is the maximum size. If rear has reached n-1, that is, queue is full. Similarly, while deleting an element, we will not be able to delete an element from the empty queue. Therefore, we are checking, so queue is equal to, if front is equal to -1. If front is equal to -1, then queue is empty. Otherwise, we are copying the front element to x, and we are checking if front is equal to rear. If front and rear are equal, say rear is 0, front is also 0. If I am deleting that element, that means front and rear, if both are equal, then there is only one element. Therefore, we are making or initializing front and rear to -1 to indicate that is empty queue. So, if front and rear, if both matches, that means there is only one element and that element is deleted. So, to indicate the empty queue, we are making front and rear as -1. So, whenever we are deleting an element, we are incrementing the front, else front plus plus. Count minus minus. So, whenever we add an element, count is incremented by 1. Whenever an element is deleted, the count is decremented by 1. So count at any given point of time, it represents the total number of elements present in the queue. So this is about DQ. Next, let us see get size. Get size will tell us how many elements are present in the queue. If count is greater than 0, so only if elements exist in the queue, count is incremented by 1, otherwise it will be 0. So we are giving a condition if count is greater than 0. Each time when we are adding an element, we are incrementing the count. Each time when we are deleting an element, we are decrementing the count. Therefore, count retains the total number of elements exist in the queue. So queue contains, so we are starting from I is equal to front till I becomes rare. So we are printing each element one by one till we reach rare. If count is not greater than 0, then we are printing queue is empty. So execution always starts from main queue. That means we are creating an object for the queue. So we are creating a queue. So when we create a queue, automatically the constructor is called, which will make front and rear as -1 and count as 0. So as we have written a constructor which will be automatically called when the object is created. So here we are creating the object. So this statement. So whenever we create the object, the constructor is called that will initialize front and rear to -1 and count to front and rear -1 and count as 0. Then we are taking int choice as an item. Then we are giving while 1 represents true. So we are giving 4 options: 1 NQ, 2 DQ, 3 print queue elements and 4 exit, enter your choice. We are asking the user to enter the choice. Now switch choice. If case is equal to 1, if choice is 1, let us see what happens. Cout enter the item. So we are accepting the element to be inserted, then we are calling q.nq. So this q.nq, that means we are calling a function nq which will add the item. So similarly, if choice is 2, then we are calling dq because the 2 option given to the user to perform the dq operation. If choice is 3, we will display the contents, and choice is equal to 4, so we are using exit. Exit will make the control to quit from the program. Other than 1, 2, 3, 4, if there are any other option given, then we are printing invalid choice. So let us see the output of this program. So when this program is executed, there will be 4 options displayed, that is 1 NQ, 2 DQ, 3 print Q, 4 exit. Choice is 1, we are asking the item to be inserted. So 10 is inserted. Similarly, again the choice is 1 and the item to be inserted is 20, 20 is inserted. Again the choice is 1, the item to be inserted given is 30, 30 is inserted. Again the choice is 1 and the item to be inserted is 40. 40 cannot be inserted because the queue size is 3. We have defined queue size as 3. Already 10, 20 and 30 are stored in the queue. Therefore, the queue will not allow, the NQ operation will not allow 40 to be inserted Therefore, a message saying queue is full will be displayed. Now you can see the choice is 3. 3 is to print the queue elements. A queue has 10, 20 and 30. So now if any element to be added, that should be added after 30, and any item to be deleted when we perform DQ, 10 will be the element to be deleted, because so 10 will be, front will be pointing to 10 and rear will be pointing to 30. Now you can see here, enter your choice. Now the choice is 2. 2 is DQ operation. Now 10 is successfully deleted. As I told you, front will be pointing to 10 and rear will be pointing to 30. Now 10 will be deleted. Now after deleting 10, the front will be incremented by 1, that is front will become plus plus, so it will point to 20. Again enter your choice. Now 20 is successfully deleted. Then again the choice is 2, then 30 will be deleted. Now again the choice is 3, there are no more elements, so queue is empty. Again enter your choice. Choice is 3. 3 is to print the data elements from the queue. As there are no more elements present, again queue is empty, message is displayed. Suppose we have given 4 options, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 NQ, 2 DQ, 3 print queue elements and 4 exit. Suppose user enters 5. 5 is an invalid choice that we are printing. If the user's choice is 5, we are printing invalid choice. If the user choice is 4, we are printing thank you and we visit again, then we exit the program. So this is the output of the program. When you execute that program, the output will be displayed as shown on the screen. This is about the NQ and DQ program, which is a practical program number 15. So let us start the next topic, that is linked list. See, array is a static storage. Static means fixed size storage. So here the disadvantage of array is they are static in structure. That means the size cannot be reduced or extended during the execution time. So during insertion, the array elements are shifted into the higher order memory location, and during the deletion, elements are shifted to the lower order memory location. Now we will be discussing the limitations of static array. That means they have fixed size. Therefore, we use a concept called linked list. Linked list, they use dynamic memory allocation. Dynamic memory allocation means it is possible for us to increase or extend or reduce the list at any given point of time. There is no fixed size here. So linked list. Linked list is a linear collection of data elements, and here the data elements are called nodes. So each node, it has 2 parts. One is the data and the link part. So data will store the data element, link will store the address of the next element, where the next element is, and that is given by link. So in a linked list we have each node, a collection of node. Linked list is a collection of data elements called node. Each node has 2 parts, the information or the data and the link. Link is the address of the next node in the list. As you can see, there is one start, and you can see 30 and it has a link to the next node. So 20 has a link to the next node, and from 50 there is a link to the next node. As there are no more, 10 is the last node, and last node link will be always null, which indicates the last node. The above picture has 4 nodes. Each node has 2 parts, the information or the data part and the next or the link part. A start indicates the first node in the list, and start, or it is also called head. And how do we identify the last node? By seeing the link of the last node. The link of the last node is always null. So there are 3 types of lists. The linked list is broadly classified into 3: singly linked list, doubly linked list, and circular linked list. First, let us see single linked list. In single linked list, each node has 2 parts, the data part and the link part. The data contains the data of the node, while the link contains the address of the next node. From 50, if I want to know the address of 40, it is stored in the link field. So link field stores the address. From 40, we can get to know the address of 70 from the link node. So like this. So here there is only one link and to the next node. Therefore it is called single linked list or singly linked list. So this is about the linked list. So we will be discussing more details on linked list, the types of linked list, how we can create a node, how we can link nodes, how we can create, how we can delete nodes in coming chapters. Hope you have understood today's session, and kindly make a note of the topics what we have discussed, and also attend the 10-mark questions. Thank you for your patience listening. Have a great day. God bless you all, my dear students.